Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. As per, we will leave it a couple of moments just while we allow people to join, just to get us warmed up and make sure that we've got kind of everyone that's going to be attending and a couple of those stragglers, which I can see. I can see most people appear to join. Oh, okay, no, we've got a bit of another rush now, which we'll just wait on some familiar faces. Which is good to see, and some new, of course. Okay, we will leave it another 20 seconds or so before we kick off the main part of this Excel add-in webinar for Joiin. Hi, Katrina, that was the first wave. That was really good. Thank you. Lovely to see you. If we want to start, just kind of keep warming up this session, there is a chat option that you should all have access to at the bottom of your screen, and you can kind of, if you put in where you're joining us from today, that'd be nice. We got some really good results and some interesting ones from Southend to South Africa last week was the way my marketing team described it to me. So it'd be lovely to know where you're all joining from. So who's going to be the first? Apologies. Okay, sorry. In the Q&A section, if you want to put in where you're joining us from, that'd be great. So I can see. Okay, so there we go. The first one is Phil from Pennsylvania. We've got Julian from London, Alexander from South Africa. I can't remember if you were the same South African joining last week. And Zoe. Hi, Zoe. Done a lot of work with Zoe over the years, so good to see you joining. And we are going worldwide. We're going Canada, Sussex, Philadelphia. Okay, without any further ado, let's get on with the main part of this session. And actually, from what we're hearing, the most hotly anticipated of all the webinars that we're going to be running in this series. As a little reminder for those of you that joined, the previous one we looked at some of the basics of the Joiin reporting platform. Now we're going to be doing a deep dive into one of the newer aspects of Joiin, and something that maybe not all of our user base are as familiar with, and we want to kind of open and broaden that usage and get everyone kind of really au fait with how the Excel add-in works. We'll do some quick introductions, and I just want to say at any point if you've got any questions, drop them in the Q&A section, and we will endeavour to answer them throughout the session or in the Q&A section at the end. Okay, so just quickly, for those of you that know, I am Harry Symons, and I head up the customer success team at Joiin, and I've been with Joiin kind of since my inception. I'll pass you over to Kyle, our resident product expert, to introduce himself.
Yeah, lovely to meet everyone. I'm on the support team here at Joiin. I'm one of the product experts. So if you have any technical questions, anything that you'd like to follow up with after the call, let me know.
Perfect. And we've got a couple of questions coming in around session recordings. All of our sessions will be recorded and automatically sent out to you post the session ending. I saw there's a couple of people that missed last week's session. I'll make sure that you get access to those ones as well. We'll follow up with every question personally via email anyway. But there'll be regular blog posts with a bit of a recap of the session, and the recordings will be shared widely on social media as well if you want to catch any previous ones. Okay, so let's talk about the Excel add-in, and a little bit about the backstory actually would be probably quite good on kind of how we got to this point. Maybe naively, Join's mission statement might initially have been no more spreadsheets, right? But actually, we've kind of learned over the years that accountants, finance people, bookkeepers, CEOs, while sometimes getting out the way of spreadsheets is great and can be having some massive value in terms of kind of time saving, reduction errors, there still is nothing as flexible as Excel. Joiin might be great, Joiin might be able to do all these things for you, but the native functionality and flexibility of Excel is still the #1 used accounting tool and offers more than any app ever could. So we want to, rather than shying away and trying to get people away from Excel, we want to make sure that Joiin and Excel can be used in unison, which is why we built this Excel add-in. We started building it about a year ago, and it was laying low a little bit in kind of like a minimal viable product version, and we're kind of looking to build on it, and we're looking to really go and launch that one now. Backstory on how it was built. So we, as with everything with Joiin, we kind of release the super simple version and say, look, break it, tell us what it needs to do to our customer base. So we've worked with a number of consultants, particularly working really closely with someone called Joe Newbold. Some of you may know him, who's kind of pretty big in the kind of fractional CFO community. Um, and him and a client are kind of a highly acquisitive online security firm. And Joe and Joiin in unison built this AI, this Excel plugin, should I say, looking at a very complex Excel workbook to try and build on that and actually make what used to be TB download, dump into Excel, and then rinse and repeat for their 8, 9 entities, creating a 32 tab workbook. We want that to be a set and forget so that your Excel data is live and up to date as it is in Joiin, as it is in your accounting platforms beforehand. So that's kind of how it was initially built. Had some really good feedback and kind of user kind of feedback as we've been going, but we're looking to kind of build on that now, really kick off that. So without any further ado, let's jump into the Joiin Excel plugin, Kyle. If we maybe just for people that aren't aware, introduce it in Joiin, and then let's dive into Excel from there, just so people kind of can be told where they can find it in Joiin first.
Yeah, absolutely. So bear with me just a moment. I get my screen shared up. Uh, Perfect. So we'll have Join loading up here. And once we've accessed our Join account, we'll be able to locate our Excel add-in option through this button in the bottom left corner. From that, we can download the Excel add-in for our desktop version of Excel. We can also use this for the browser version. We'll also have some downloadable templates already available. Once that's downloaded to our device, we'll be able to go through this Excel add-on, or this person icon, sorry, to access our API access. Final step here would be to copy and paste our API key into our Excel add-in, and then we'll be able to connect our data.
Cool. Okay. And then Kyle, we're just getting a couple of people say that maybe your voice is slightly muffled. I don't know
Oh,
whether it's a
no
microphone
worries.
issue or if it's you, but if you can maybe sit forward and speak up, we might be able to get around
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll dive straight into Excel now. There is an instructional video on setup and a couple of the things that Kyle's going to relate to us now in the Excel section of Join. So, Kyle, if we can jump into Excel, please, and we can kind
Yeah,
of begin that part of the demonstration.
of course. Yeah. So I'll quickly load this one up now. Let me quickly hide the meeting controls. Perfect. So we've loaded up our Excel sheet, and straight away we've loaded up this first trial balance tab. This is one of those example reports, quite basic, and we've linked this up to our Join account using these Excel formulas right here.
Perfect.
They're referenced.
Okay. So let's now, Kyle, if we can, let's take it right back to the beginning.
Yep.
And we're gonna maybe look at how we can run some reports in the Excel add-in. And let's start with the most basic of balance sheets, Kyle, if we go for the kind of pre
Yep.
template. And let's really hone in on creating a new one from scratch, please. Let's really hone in and go through the different bits of it, and just make sure that everyone can see really nicely. Because I know we're presenting on screen in Excel, it can be a little bit difficult to see, and that'd be really good.
Of course. Absolutely. So we'll start off here by opening our Join window, and that's found at the top toolbar here. Once opened, we're going to be given a list of our different formulas. We'll be able to add an API key through this settings cog. Once we've accessed our formulas, we can start pulling in data such as a list of our available companies. We can then reference these in our later formulas. My next step for this report, we'll get a list of our balance sheet items. So I'll go to my balance sheet tab. And then from there, we can get a list of all balance sheet accounts and groups. Perfect. Once we've added in a date, I'll make it current. Perfect. We'll then be able to reference our accounts, our companies, and our date here within our balance sheet specific account formula. So I'll do that using our insert button. We can see Join's automatically going to populate a few of our company names, currency, start and end dates, as well as the account name. To edit this, I'll quickly use references. We'd like to lock that into our C cell. We can then select our dates using this one. Helps if I do that properly. Perfect. So November to November. And then we would select our currency, our company names. I'll leave these blank for the moment. This is now going to take our value directly from Join. We'll be able to drag that cell down. And that'll give me the values for all of my other accounts. Not in this case, apparently. That would be the why. Ignore my novice tree in Excel here. So we'll lock that to number 2. And I will be able to drag that one down.
Can we?
Not a great example there. Interesting. Apologies for technical issues.
No, it's okay, Carl. Don't worry. We're absolutely fine.
We'll drag that one down. And there we are. We got there eventually.
Okay, right. So we've had a little look at the custom formula builder, but let's take it back even further actually, and we'll kind of go through a nice flow for you. So we've got some pre-built templates which we can show, and that is literally a press and create. So Carl, if we can start a new tab, please.
Of course. So we'll go ahead on this
Okay.
one.
Right, and let's start by looking at this formula bar over on the right hand side, and we can go on all formulas.
Absolutely.
So we've got some pre-built templates here. So you've got your trial balance report, which Kyle's very kindly hovering over at the moment. And you can see within here, you've got all of the different operands that Join kind of asks you to add in to build this report. So Kyle can press insert on that one, and it will create that trial balance, which he's done here. Okay, and that's just kind of very basic. If you want a quick snapshot to create a trial balance that you could then go and format. That's the kind of the very basic version. But now, Kyle, if we can go start to finish, and let's on screen and kind of show that it's actually a pretty easy process and all of that. We're going to build a P&L, please, starting from scratch. So if we can open up another tab, that'd be great.
Of course. Yep, so we're on a fresh tab here. And yep, we'll go ahead and we'll start off. Well, we wanting to use the report formula, or are we building this out of account values?
Okay, if we can, let's start building and showing all of the functionality. So if we, probably best if we load in those kind of company references and explain to the people here
Perfect.
how we reference, for those of you that aren't that familiar with Excel. And Carl, you take us through this whole process, please.
Yeah, of course. So we've started off here and we've inserted a formula for our companies list. This is dragging in those company names using our API.
And we do that, don't we? Because at a later point, we're going to use the Join formula builder, and we're going to reference these cell names. So these are the exact names as they appear in Join, and we're going to reference those ones later. So we've got our company names there. So let's have a look and build. How should we do it, Carl? Should we do this financial year to date? So if we go January, this is our company financial year as well. So we'll go January 25 up until the current date, and we'll start building a P&L for this time period.
Perfect.
There we go. Okay.
Lovely. So we've got our dates set up. We'll be able to reference those ones now. We'll also need a list of our GL accounts and our groupings to reference.
Okay.
So for this.
So then we've got, yeah, we're perfect. Carl's going to go over and show us his formula edit here. And what we can do now, again, we've referenced the company names already, or we're going to be referencing the company names later. Now we can bring in an entire list of our chart of accounts for a particular company or set of companies. And Kyle, let's go through and talk through each of these different data points, starting from the companies, and explain what these mean, how they work, and how we reference them, and maybe why we've built it the way we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I'm going through these, if you do get lost, all of the parameters listed here will be in the order that we see them in the formula up here. So we're starting off, and the first item on our formula will be our companies. So in here, we've typed those in manually. However, as we're saying, we can get rid of this. We will be able to reference those.
Sorry, Carl, to interrupt you, mate. Just
Yeah, of course.
because we're on a small screen presenting and whatnot.
Oh, yes,
Should we
absolutely.
should we start and build the template from scratch? So we'll get rid of all of the data points. So we'll just have the join account P&L list and build company from there. That'd be good.
So, let's start. Brilliant. So, sorry, not quite sure I'm following.
Well, let's just delete most of that bit in the formula bar, so there's nothing in there, and we'll build from scratch.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, lovely. I'm with you. Okay, perfect. So, starting from the beginning, we'll start with the companies list. As we say, we can use our references for these ones. Get rid of that square bracket. Brilliant. Now Join knows which companies we're going to be taking our data from. We'll now set our reporting currency. So in our case, we'll just run GBP. We'll type that one in. If you do have cases where you have multiple different currencies, you will be able to reference these ones as well. We can then select our start date. So for this, I'm going to be using my reference up at the top of the report. And again, the end date, because I'm including this in the same column, that'll also be January. We'll then select our group name filter. So this one here would allow us to filter by revenue, by expenses, by cost of sales, all of those different categories. But now, because I'm running the whole P&L, I'm going to leave that one blank. There's going to allow us to format that list. Now we have a more accurate list for our companies. We'll do the same here when we're creating the value. So we'll get rid of our formula box. We'll select our companies, currency. And end dates. This time we'll be looking to pick up the account name so that Joiin knows which account to reference. So we'll use our account list over here. We'll then have some optional fields, and these will include the value type, the category name, and the category option name. All of these will have defaults if you leave them blank. For example, value type here will default to being actuals. Now I'll leave that as it is. And that will give us there our first sales value. Now, as we saw earlier, we will need to lock some of these references to ensure they're not sliding around the page. Yeah, brilliant. For these ones, we can do so by putting in these little dollar icons, and that will lock it into my A group. Ideal. Similar to this, we can lock the date columns in place, one of the columns, as so. Perfect, and then the account name, we'll need to lock that into our C column. If we're happy with that, we'll start looking, drag it. And again, we can do that for each of our months, just by dragging it along as so. Or we can do a few at a time. As that.
Perfect.
Okay, nice and basic.
So there we've got the beginning blocks of because we've got our revenue section of a P&L there, haven't we, that we've started to create. And kind of harking back to why and how we built this, we wanted to give that granularity and flexibility of Excel so that you can reference any data point within Joiin. So you can see here, Kyle initially referenced the account 200 sales for that group of two companies in January 25. but equally we want to give the flexibility to pull this one across and drag and drop and roll this out across all of your different accounts and groups. And obviously the benefit of that is that this now is the potential of a set and forget of live data. So we're looking at some demo data in here, and we're running up until November 25. But if we were to add a December column, pull the formula across into December, obviously it would be blank at the moment, but even come December, next month, if we were to add some data into our companies, that would automatically come in into your Excel workbook, which is key, right? You need that in live data and don't want to rely on kind of stale Excel downloads. So, Kyle, if we could quickly have a little look at some of the kind of, let's look at stuff that looks a bit more pretty, if we're frank, right? Some of the templates and that kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. So if we have external templates here, we will be able to copy and paste these formulas in. So we can see, I'll decrease the zoom a little bit. We can see here we've pulled in quite a pretty profit and loss template. And again, I've pre-filled this one out with a few of our different formulas. So I'll be able to drag that across and this will be filled in.
Yeah, and we've and we're kind of in the process of building out that template library. This is kind of an example template here. Obviously, you'll have existing workbooks that you just want to replace your VLOOKUPs and your XLOOKUPs. That you can do so, but also we're going to provide templates as well that will kind of pull in your data straight away. And we've just got kind of a slightly more nicely formatted one that we were just looking at there. And then dashboards as well, something that we're kind of very keen on with dashboard templating. So we can look to reference on some dashboards here. So I think Carl's got a quick demonstration for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we can do here is we can set up some dashboard views and all of the charts here can reference our linked data. So one of the options here we've got our actual revenue. That's linking directly to our revenue accounts in Joiin. We're then building out these charts here based on those figures. So if I wanted to change, let's say, my time period for this report, I'll be able to change that one. Let's go back to June for now. Joiin will then bring in our value. Seems like it's the same in June as it was in December. There we are. So our January figure, we've now got a January figure in. We'll be able to report on January instead if needs be. Again, we'll be able to update that budget value on that as well.
Perfect. Okay, Kyle. Thank you very much. Obviously, we've like the power in Excel necessarily isn't the visuals, right? Is it? It's about that live data, the flexibility, and actually kind of getting into it yourself and using your own data. So we've got kind of a 7 or 8 minutes left before the end of the session. So we'll jump into the Q&A section because I can see there's been lots of questions already. And I'll pose a couple to you, Kyle. Maybe I'll answer some, and we'll try and keep this interactive. First one, Kyle, is around. Okay, so we've got one from Charmaine. Charmaine, we know well here. Charmaine says, "Can this work on a single company level as well as consolidated?"
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're doing it on a single company level, I'll bring up one of these order trial balances we had open. Joiin's going to give you the option to select our companies using this parameter right there. So for this, we could just remove one of our companies, and this would now be a single entity report. Let that load. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, Kyle, thank you. Charmaine, I hope that answered your question. Then there's quite a few questions around how live the data is and how often it auto updates and that kind of thing. So when you come in and when you open the Join tab, which is that little bit on the right hand side of Excel, Join will automatically refresh, and there's also that refresh all button as well that you could press if you wanted to, and then it will just show that live data that you have in Join automatically. Okay, so we've got a question here. Okay, so we've got a question from an anonymous attendee around, and this is the inevitable question, right, around a Google Sheets integration. Google Sheets is going to be coming. We do connect into Google Sheets already via Zapier. If you're familiar with that, that's kind of like a no-code API connection platform. But the Google Sheets connection is coming, and if that anonymous attendee would like to drop me an email afterwards, I can put them on the list to make sure that they're informed as soon as that native introduction and native integration becomes live. Okay, Carl, we've got a question here from Charlotte, and I'm very conscious of time. So if we can just maybe just answer questions, that would be really
Of
good.
course.
So Charlotte says, can you split out tracking categories on these ones?
You absolutely can. Yep. So for all of the profit and loss formulas, you will have an extra parameter for your category names and your category option names.
Perfect. Okay, so that seems to have covered off Charlotte's question, Becky's question. There. Okay, so this is one, Carl. It's going to test your metal. Maybe we'll do one each here. Chris asks, what's the main advantage of using the Excel plugin aside instead of using the Join report packs?
Yeah, absolutely. So this allows for a lot more customization in terms of how your reports are laid out. In Join, our filters and the way that reports are presented within a report pack are very sort of set in their ways. So these Excel add-ins will allow you to customize columns, customize colors, allow you to include different filter combinations, purely because we're working on a cell-by-cell basis instead of a broad filtered report.
Okay, great stuff. Yeah, and then I guess actually another benefit, and this is a temporary benefit, is if you've got other data sources that you want to bring in as well and combine with your Join data, you can bring everything into Excel. Join has an API out at the moment, so you can bring data directly from Join into Excel, as we know here, or into other platforms. But actually, Chris, we do also have an API into Join coming. So soon Join can be that kind of center of the spider's web, I guess, with all of your data flows coming into Join. And that's hopefully we're expecting a release of that API Q4 this year. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so there's a couple of questions from people that I think might not have been here at the beginning around kind of setup and all of that. All of the setup information is available in Join in the Excel section as a kind of a little 5-minute video, but also I'll reply to all of these questions individually as well. Okay, so question from Dennis here, and this is the key question, right? And please feel free to, for those of you that are experienced using the Join Excel add-in, ask questions around its limitations, because we want to be upfront and we want to build on that. So Dennis says, when will custom layouts be available within the Excel plugin? Basically, the option to have templates and full reports that are fully customized as you see them in Join is very much the plan. Dennis, we'd love your input on how you might envision that working, how you'll be using those ones, and even some kind of sense checking actually as we develop. We're already we're always really keen for that kind of feedback, but actually kind of critical feedback is kind of how we grow, how we build best. So that would be great. Tracy just with some very kind words there and wants to be added to the Google Sheets link. Yes, I'll be sure to do that one. Deb, same for you. I will do. Erica has a question around, again, a great question around something that we don't have yet. Cash flow reporting, not something that we have in the Excel plugin, but again, something that we'll be looking at in the not so distant future. I'll make sure to add you to the list, Erica. So that, if my calculations are correct, is exactly half past. So we'll look to cut off here because I know some people will have kind of sessions afterwards. Anyone that didn't manage to catch all of the session, we'll be sure to send you a follow-up with a recording link that you can share with colleagues or watch again if you want to watch it at a slower pace. That's absolutely fine. I just want to say thank you very much for everyone that joined today. Thank you for your kind words. And please, please kind of don't be a stranger. Let us know what we can do with the Excel plugin to make it as valuable and to fit into your existing reporting workflows as possible. Just like to say thank you very much to everyone who joined, and a special thank you to Kyle. Smashed it as per. Really, really appreciate your time, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Later. Bye-bye.
Take care.